Five history-changing facts that mainstream scholars cannot explain. The idea of history in today's society is much different than it was 50 years ago. Today, we are fully aware that there are numerous enigmas that mainstream scholars have a hard time accepting and explaining. Many people firmly believe that in the distant past, before recorded history, numerous advanced ancient civilizations inhabited our planet. There have never been so many discoveries pointing to the fact that civilization on planet Earth have existed much longer than mainstream scholars propose. All of these discoveries indicate that the human species is, in fact, a species with amnesia, and we are still trying very hard to understand our origins and time frame of our planet's distant past when different civilizations inhabited Earth. From huge megalithic structures to incredible ancient maps that challenge mainstream theories of evolution and history, there are countless pieces of evidence that, when put together, indicate a time in our planet's history when ancient and highly advanced civilizations ruled the Earth. The evidence everyone is asking for is actually present and written down in ancient texts of cultures around the globe. In this article we take a look at some of the historical records and findings which mainstream scholars cannot explain. It has become evident that in the distant past, ancient mankind knew the correct shape and size of our planet, even though mainstream scholars firmly deny it. Their cartographical skills were nearly as advanced as ours are today, and all of this was achieved thousands of years ago with the use of advanced spherical trigonometry and mathematics which allowed them to elaborate some of the most incredible ancient maps we have ever seen. This means that prehistoric man had the knowledge and used extremely advanced methods of projection which allowed them to obtain extremely accurate coordinates on our planet. While researchers knew that ancient mankind was advanced in some way, they never quite managed to understand to what degree. For example, the ancient Maya of Guatemala divided the spherical world into 5 major continents including Africa, Europe, Asia, North and South America and Australia. However, there are many other ancient cultures that left behind intricate pieces of evidence suggesting that many ancient cultures organized global-scale surveys of the planet thousands of years before written history. While researchers knew that ancient mankind was advanced in some way, they never quite managed to understand to what degree. For example, the ancient Maya of Guatemala divided the spherical world into 5 major continents including Africa, Europe, Asia, North and South America and Australia. However, there are many other ancient cultures that left behind intricate pieces of evidence suggesting that many ancient cultures organized global-scale surveys of the planet thousands of years before written history. In Asia, we find more pieces of evidence that firmly contradict mainstream history. The 4th book of Shanhai King, which dates back to 2250 BC, includes 4 sections where it describes mountainous regions located beyond the Eastern Sea found on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. Geographically speaking, many believe that this describes in great detail the topography of western and central parts of America. It even details black opals and gold nuggets in Nevada and seals in San Francisco. It is believed that the 9th and 14th books also describe in detail the Grand Canyon. The discovery of Yunnan Padang challenges everything we know about ancient civilizations. It is believed that the pyramidal-shaped structure is the oldest standing pyramid on the planet. It is believed to date back at least 23,000 years. Yunnan Padang is believed to have been an extremely important site of an ancient unknown civilization which erected the complex before the last ice age. Mainstream scholars firmly maintain that ancient cultures such as the Maya, Incas, ancient Egyptians and others were never interconnected. Mainstream scholars maintain that these ancient civilizations developed independently and were only acquainted with other nearby cultures. This, however, has proven to be false since there is plenty of evidence which points to a much different truth. For example, to the amazement of archaeologists and researchers, in 1992, a German researcher who was performing tests on ancient Egyptian mummies found traces of hashish, tobacco, and cocaine in the hair, skin and bones of ancient Egyptian mummies. Tobacco and cocaine were plants that only grew in the New World, at the time of mummification. So just how did these exotic narcotics arrive in ancient Egypt before the New World was found? Source: this crucial piece of evidence proves that not only were ancient civilizations interconnected in the distant past, elaborate trade routes were established thousands of years ago. This is why it isn't that difficult to believe that there are ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs in Australia and that people of ancient India knew of modern-day England and called it the Island of the White Cliffs. Their Vishnu Purana describes, to the amazement of many, parts of Europe, the Americas and even the North Polar zones on our planet. In fact, the Irish have legends that speak of people from a faraway land, South Asia, that visited them in the past and were called the Dravidians.